So great to be here. Do I have a clicker somewhere?
No, here.
Here it is. Yeah, here we are. Maybe you know Trustpilot already. We're a review site where consumers can leave reviews on online, say, buying experiences, and the same for companies can obviously get a lot of insight and data in how their customers feel, and there's a lot of data to be learned from, actually, in that kind of flow. We've been around since 2007. We just outside the screen here, Peter Mühlmann actually launched the company in Aarhus in 2007. Slightly further west, but actually the current business model as it is right now is from 2009. So we've been around for like 6-7 years now with the current business model. Today we are 500 and a bit of people. So that has been an interesting growth. I joined here in 2011, we were 15 people. We always talk about this journey thing, and that has always been amazing and challenging at the same time, as you all know. Today, one of the key measures we like to show about is that actually every month the Trustpilot brand is exposed 1 million times across different different search engines and everywhere where we say introduce our customers' data and consumers' data. So that is a lot of exposure. Today, like roughly a third of our business is US, roughly 1/3 in the UK, 10% in Denmark. So that's where we are. We've got a bit of money as well from different venture funds, so around $117 million in total, because this is expensive to run a shop like this and do it in this way. I'd like to touch on a couple of drivers for what we do and how we do it. It's called growth drivers, in case you missed the G. I think one driver for our business has been that it's actually pretty simple what we do. It's very straightforward, at least on the outside. Actually, behind the scene is not very simple. It's pretty complex. It's complex to scale, and it's complex to keep data relevant and trustworthy in there. But beyond that, the concept by itself is pretty simple. Most people know what a review is. The other thing is, when it's simple, it works everywhere. E-commerce is the same everywhere. We have customers in 70 different countries. It's the same pain points we talk to, no difference. The difference are in the verticals, not on the concept as such. And the same vertical act more or less the same everywhere. So that's the beauty. Another growth driver I think we have been very much on for the last, say, 4 or 5 years at least, is that there can be only one. It's a winner-takes-it-all market. I know there are multiple review sites, and that is fantastic, but it is a kind of, it all centralizes around a single site sooner or later. You all know probably TripAdvisor or Yelp, or they're very dominating in their space. We saw a space for a dominating player in the e-commerce space, in the e-commerce area. There's no such single player right now. Well, we hope to be the one, obviously. And that's what we're fighting for. That's why we focus very much country by country. When you say winner takes it all, it's a country by country, even vertical by vertical. It's a segmentation game more than it's like everywhere. We cannot be everywhere. So even though we have customers in 70 countries, we focus all our effort on a few places. We started with the UK. We are the biggest player in the UK market today. Then we went to the US. On online reviews like what we do it, we are by far the biggest player in the US already. But we're only scratching the surface of the opportunity, by the way. That's the interesting part. And in a space like this, where it's kind of simple, where it's kind of the winner takes it all, it's also a matter of growing faster than your competitors. So that's all it's all about. Grow, 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 grow. Fast, fast, fast. And make sure you have enough money to actually do it. And obviously also, as Klaus said, there's a lot of change on the road. Always, continuously, constantly. Sometimes it's good fun. Sometimes it's less fun. But it's certainly, you learn a lot. Another thing which maybe some of you may consider very, very old-fashioned is that one of our key drivers and our way to ignite the engine is good old-fashioned sales. We sell. We sell what we deliver. We're not waiting for things to happen or people to pop by the homepage or whatever, or do a lot of online advertising. We do, but it's all fueled by we have to ignite the engine because our concept basically based on content. Consumers deliver content to our engine. We need that to happen. The only way to get that to happen is we need to work with companies to invite their consumers or their customers to leave a review, and that fuels the engine, and here we go. Then it becomes more and more valuable for other consumers to go in and check, is this a good place or a bad place to buy this chair or whatever it is. So it's a lot of hard work, a lot of time on the phone, a lot of cold calling. A lot of people find it boring, but it works. And it has been a way for us to get it off the ramp, basically. Today we are 150 and a bit sales reps in the company, just to set that example. It's not necessarily the only way to do things, and it's also not the only way to do things for us, but it's the fueling or the start fuel, you can say, for the concept. On the challenge side, there's a ton of challenges here. I think a big one is you need to be able to focus and prioritize what you do. It's extremely important. These days, I think old-fashioned business metrics are very much back in fashion, which is kind of healthy, especially for a company the size of us and in the evolution path where we are. But in general, I think it's not out of fashion anymore. Scaling is hard. Some of you know that very well. Scaling cost effectively is much harder. You have to be smart around that, and you have a lot of learning on that route, because every time you scale and on a software subscription model, a software as a service model, it has a lot of cost. And when you really scale hard in order to grow, the cost drives deep, and your cash pool is not going to hold forever. So you have to find a way to turn that around and actually ignite it into be a profitable company. We are not a profitable company yet, but we're getting there. So really focus on what matters. Make sure you measure on it. Make sure you have some objective measures to use. Data, back to data. Everybody talks about data today. Data is crucial here. Track it, share it, make sure your organization is involved in that. And maybe an important one that's not always easy as a smaller company, sometimes you have to learn to say no. Not always, but you have to learn to say no. And you will make mistakes on this. We have done a ton of them. Good learning. Another thing is, I call it agile, but it could be called a lot of things. I know agile is also a concept for how you and we and everybody else develops product. But actually, I think we try to use it across the organization. It's not a development concept alone. It's actually more an organizational concept. For us, it's all about, we realized at a certain time that we could have a lot of plans and think about big things we would like to, say, design and code and deliver down the road, or big concepts, but that was not actually always very good, because you never know what you really need until you get started. And that is not only development, it could be anything in the company. So at least for us, it works like if we take a lot of small steps, if we try a lot of things constantly, we also fail, obviously, but we learn a lot continuously, and we kind of get to the right place at the end of the day with a lot of small steps rather than with a few giant steps, because you are potentially up for failure and that's costly with a giant step. So we don't try to predict a lot of stuff. We have an idea of the direction, we have data for it, and then we try and experiment, and we get there. And we do it across the organization. Works well for us. Then I can hear this is not new to you. You're global, that's great. This is a fantastic country by all means. But it's, as a market, at least for us, is way too small. Simply not enough. You have to go abroad. This is actually to be pool and not tool, but I think that's a little bit sad to say that sometimes we also run dry as a talent pool. You're probably experiencing that sometimes, especially on certain types of talent. We have a lot, say, development talent is good, but there might be other talent. Commercial, more specifically, can be a little bit scarce if you want to address the world from Copenhagen or from Denmark. So you may need to get out soon and find somewhere else to find talent as well. I think the global mindset is key for us, at least. We have like 40 different nationalities on board today. We went abroad in 2011 to go to the UK, not with an office, but served it from Copenhagen initially. We launched the office in the UK in 2014. What I would say, and what I've tried before, is a little bit you try the country next door, or you go for a smaller, say, whoever knocks on the door, yeah, that sounds like a good idea, let's try that. We kind of say, let's take a big market, because we have to be there, we have to prove ourselves, and actually there's not a lot of competitors in our area, at least there was not back then. So why not? And we have succeeded extremely well in the UK. Probably with a good mix of hard work and luck and what have you, but we did it. And we're doing well in that respect. So going somewhere big should not scare anyone. It's not that difficult. It's not that difficult. I think what you need to say, what you also need to be ready for is that when you do that, there's a lot of differences on how people are, cultural. I'll come back to the culture thing. But the basic stuff is exactly the same everywhere. And the good thing is actually Denmark is pretty well respected everywhere, with a few hiccups. But we haven't seen anywhere where we're not being embraced as great. We're not a stranger anywhere. As long as you don't act as a stranger, you're not a stranger. So just be confident and go out there. Finally, I think Klaus spent some time on company culture, and especially that ladder where the team grows and the changes. There's a lot of requirements in that. We have grown a lot, as you could see, and we need to be ready for change. And the CEO and the founder team needs to be very much ready for change. Totally agree on that. But you also need to be ready that things will change, and it's good. It's not necessarily bad. It'll be different. Less cowboy style over time, hopefully, but also not too professional. I think we have managed to, at least we believe we managed to do a good balance there, where we stay startup style to a certain extent, and we grow more professional. We depend more and more on data and less on gut feeling, but we still do a little bit of both. And sometimes we still do some good gut feeling when it really gets there, as we can experiment in small steps. But I think the change is good, as long as you're ready for it. The other thing is now we have offices in 5 different countries. And the good thing is, go to Trustpilot in London or New York or Melbourne or Berlin. It's still Trustpilot. It's still the same core values we base it on, but it's with a twist. It's a local version. And a lot of those local good things we actually take back, also back to Copenhagen, because we learn a lot from that. We don't know everything here, but we can be inspired and learn good stuff from other countries, which is great. But we never compromise on the values. Never ever. And the other thing, which I think is key for our culture, we actually talked a lot about this. How do we drive culture? Is it something we do deliberately? Is it something we plan for? Is it something we have a guideline for? No, not at all. I think it happens because we have some good values. We have a great founder who has managed to be the personalization of our culture. Also in the other offices, I think it's very important. But basically, we open for change in that respect. So we embrace those changes, and especially when hiring, is probably the key part of culture here. Is that you need to hire well, and you just don't hire for value, not for copies or anything like that. You should not hire copies. You need to hire somebody who are eventually smarter than yourself. Be brave enough to hire somebody who is smarter than yourself, because then you will actually learn something. Then you'll grow your company. Otherwise, you'll just create a copy, and maybe that copy is not right, and therefore it'll go wrong. So make sure you hire good and smart people. We're only as good as the sum of all the smart brains we have on board, and we try to live like that every day. Good. Thank you.
Thank you.